All right, guys. Welcome to the International Association of Wood Carvers. As you can tell, I am not Blake Lunsford. Blake is judging a show today, and he won't be able to be with us, at least hosting. He'll probably try to join us on the backside here and maybe pop into the chats and stuff here in a little bit. But I want to welcome you guys. Today is September 21st, I believe, if I can go by my brain. Yeah, September 21st. And Dave Stetson is going to be our presenter today. We are actually going to kick straight over to him, and we're going to let Dave get started for us and get going in just a second so we can have things happening here. So if you give me just a moment, I'm going to find Dave's name in our list, and we are going to begin. So let's see, Dave, I'll turn it over to you, buddy.
So I've moved my shop and studio into my bedroom. Um, there ain't much to look at except these original outhouse carvings up here by Virgil Stevens. He's an amazing artist. Has been a friend for many years, and this is what my wall is decorated with, uh, so to speak. But I'm stuck in a little alcove here, so I can keep an eye on things that are uh, happening in my life now. And so if I have to break away, we'll just take a brief intermission. We'll see how this works out. Um, I'm going to go ahead and have you turn the spotlight onto my table here. There we go. Okay. So this is going to be an upcoming workshop. Starts in October. This is a witch. Uh, if you don't recognize witches, they don't normally ride a broom like this. Typically, they're on the road driving cars and taking public transportation. I can confirm this because I occasionally have one pull up in front of me or cut me off on the road, so I know that they're not flying on their brooms typically. But for Halloween rolls around, and since they haven't been on their brooms, they have a day of practice before the big night rolls around. And so I have a series of them that are in various stages of being on or off their brooms. So this is one of them that we're going to be doing either from a rough out or a cutout. They don't all have that much trouble. Some of them are more relaxed and casual about it. Things just come more natural to them. This sawhorse was an invention to try to hold this thing on a table. Because when you're doing a show, you don't have the ability generally to hang fish line from the ceiling to have your witches flying around. So there they go. So we're going to work on a witch's head, talk about how I come up with a witch's head. And I have done a bunch of stuff on 1.5 inch wood, but I didn't care for the way the hat brim, the wood doesn't leave enough room for hat brim. So it's kind of a squatty, short brim on her hat. So I went to a 2-inch block and started to block it in so there'd be enough wood for you guys to see how I laid the face out. And this morning, trying to finish blocking in the hat, I broke the hat off. So much for that idea. So about 10 minutes before class started, I went out and cut out this head. So we're going to do it more like a relief, like we do with some Santa ornaments and stuff. So I just call it a Halloween ornament. You can hang it anywhere you want to hang it. Or stick it in your pocket, I don't care. So this is what I came up with. Traced it on the block while Dave and I were talking here for the last half hour. Got it in a book so I can show you the front view, side view of a ornament style relief thing. The difference being, when I do a head, I always start with an oval. If it's not and I'll just do it in red here so you can see what I'm talking about. So this would be my oval for a head. in what I have in red. Can you see that okay? Am I close enough?
Yeah, it looks good, Dave. You can see it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, don't everybody talk at once here. So the other oval would have come this way. And the back half of the head. This is if it was just a normal head, not as an ornament. So halfway on that oval is the eye line. I know my good buddy Chris doesn't believe in rules, but I can't live without them. I am not as talented as Chris is. So if I don't have some help, so the ear would be back here, just so you understand what we're dealing with here. Chin out here, eye line, nose line. Okay, that's for a typical head. All right, the which is going to be exaggerated. We're going to change some things up. One of the things we're going to do is give her a longer chin so we can make it more prominent. And on that chin, I'm going to try to leave a big old wart. And I'm squeezing everything down, so it's going to be, this was cut from a 2-inch block, and then I ripped it in half on the bandsaw, so I end up with 2. So that's where I get my 1 inch in width from. So I'm extending that chin down. The hat line is kind of coming up here just above the brow, and all of this is hair hanging down, coming off to each side. I'm going to extend the nose all the way down to where the mouth line would be. Really dropping that down. So the typical nose would be here. I'm dropping it down to almost to the mouth line. So that mouth is going to be tucked up in behind the nose a little bit. I was trying to think of the movie that had some really great witch characters in it. And I think the name was Hocus Pocus. That sounds familiar. Anybody confirm that for me?
That sounds like it, Dave.
Not that it matters, but if you...
It is.
A lot of times I need inspiration. So, I'll go to Netflix or something that got some on-demand movies and try to figure out what I want to do and use those guys for inspiration. So we've extended the chin down a little longer. We're going to leave the eye line where it should be. We're going to extend the nose down a little longer, so she get that real long bent over nose. And that's what I end up with on the block. So I'm not going to worry about the hat unless I need some filler time. But what I'm going to do is come in here and set the edge of this hat, the lower edge of the hat. I'm going to try to do this without cutting myself. For those of you that were in Colorado last weekend, none of you are more disappointed than I that I wasn't there. But sometimes things happen that just happen. So I'm going to try to taper this back, the head portion, back toward the hat. Here, see if I'm doing this. If anybody has questions while we're working through this, so this is the area that I'm getting into right here. So where the hat comes down and the head comes to it, all the way around the side here. So as I start doing this, I'm thinking, you know what, this sketchbook is not a real solid base to be carving on, but we'll see if we can make it work.
Hey, Dave,
Yes,
what brand tool is that? I've never seen one.
who's asking?
This is Christine Hill.
Okay, Christine, I don't think I know you.
Um, I did an interview with the International Association of Wood Carvers back in May, I think it was.
I should know you then.
You should, because like I told you, you were like my favorite carver. So
Thank you, dear. I apologize. I am just a totally whatever the bad word is for knowing names. I'm
that's okay. But I've never seen one with the handle like that unless you added the handle.
no,
That's the
this
file.
this is a Swiss made.
Mm-hmm. Now
Wow.
the one laying down on your sketch pad there, that one.
This one here,
Uh-huh.
this is a diopsid forge.
A diopsid I've never seen.
They
Looks
were
like a very
around
nice
for a
tool.
few years. In my opinion, this was the premier tool.
Okay.
My wife, Michelle, was a tool vendor.
Mhm.
The thing that attracted me to her was that she had better tools than I did. So I said, I got to get to know this gal a little better.
That ought to do it. So it's a diaptive forge.
Diopsid forge. They don't make them anymore.
Oh, darn.
It's a long story. Scott Myers started making those tools. He lived up above Seattle, in an area that was called the Diobsid Valley. It's an Indian name, and I don't remember what it meant. And then he moved his operation out to Lopez Island up there in Puget Sound. And we got to go out there and spend some time with him because Michelle was the first vendor to carry his tools.
Oh, wow. How cool.
And there's also, I shouldn't tell you something I don't know the name. So, but there's a gentleman out there who makes carving tools for the people that do Northwest style totems and carvings of the Native Americans that do the can't even think of the name of the style now. But there's a style of carving that is predominant in the Northwest part of the United States up there, and they were the two top tool makers in the area. So,
oh wow.
But they would have coffee most every morning together up there on Lopez Island and share information about sit around drinking coffee and talking about metallurgy, I guess, but they're good. They were good. They still are good.
Yeah, they look really, really nice.
If you can find them. People are getting outrageous prices for these things now.
Wow.
Which is absolutely insane. And I had a friend with me about 3 or 4 weeks ago. A gentleman came and spent a weekend with me, and we started digging into some old stuff, and I found out I got a whole bunch more of these things that were packed away. I had no idea you had them. So yeah, we came across a bunch of Helvey knives, and not some of them were even pre-Rich Smithson Helveys. These are Helveys made by Ken Helvey.
Oh, okay.
But that doesn't make them better. I think Rich is tools
Oh
are
yeah, Rich is very good.
superior.
And somebody put in the chat, they think the name was as a Kestrel tools or Kestrel.
That's it. It is. It's Kestrel. Kestrel, like the little kestrel bird, small bird of prey. Yeah, thanks, Dave. See, the world is smarter than I am.
That didn't come from me, so that was somebody else.
If you hear that laugh in the background, it's my wife. She's being entertained by me this morning. At least that's what I'll call it.
That's a good thing to have going on then.
Well, I was very fortunate that her sister came and spent a few days with us earlier this week. And I see I've been the chief cook and bottle washer around here for the last 14 years.
Oh, right.
And her sister Margie was in the kitchen looking for something, digging around. And she said, "You know how long you've had some of this stuff here?" I said, "What stuff?" And it's stuff that I've never used. So the use by or best by date was long gone on a few garbage cans full of stuff that she helped me get rid of. But you know me, I open up a can of condensed soup for dinner, and if it tastes good, I eat it. If it doesn't taste good, I flush it. Not realizing the reason it doesn't taste good is because it had a best if used by date of 1998 or something. All right, so what I'm trying to do is get the edge of this hat set and work up to the head. I'll be honest with you, this is the first carving I've done in about 3 weeks. So it's almost like a new experience. So I'm shooting for the profile now. So you can see the profile I've got here. So what I'm going to do is go in with my gouge and do a big old gouge cut like right here. That's going to get rid of all this stuff. So this is the gouge I'm using right there, in and right here. And it's almost to the hat, but maybe just a tad under it. Now, a lot of you, if you're doing this type of thing, would probably work off of one of those half of a block cut on a diagonal. So you end up with a angle already on the face. The problem with that is, and I started that a long time ago with a article I did for Wood Carving Illustrated, and showed them how to make a jig to cut all those heads out and stuff, or the blocks to do those heads. And I thought I was really onto something until I started to realize that every once in a while I'd be working on a project where I wanted to have more wood out here on the corner, and it just went out to nothing. So I'm not a fan of that. I would rather just create that angle and work from there. All right, I'm going to start. I'm also going to come in here with the gouge and get right in between the nose and the chin, like right in this area here. So I'm going to come across, get some of that out of there. And as I start in here, if it looks like going in further is going to eliminate part of the nose or eliminate part of the chin, I'm going to set this gouge aside, take a 5mm veiner and get in there with that. It makes a smaller trough through there.
Are you rounding over a little bit of the mouth mound while you're doing that, Dave?
Not really. I'm just trying to get that profile established. The next cuts are going to start putting a little more profile, a little more angle on there, I think.
See you reporter.
The other thing I want to do while I'm at it, I'm working with my gouges, is try to get some movement in the hair, some in and out, some major locks of hair, not hair in itself, not any individual hairs, but just the movement of hair. And it may only be a matter of 2 or 3 big locks of hair in here.
Now, Dave, I know you said you cut that out of a 2-inch block, but how tall is that piece?
How tall is it?
Or, chin to top of the head?
Thanks. It's about 6 fingers. The head is about 3 fingers.
Perfect.
And the head is about 2 fingers wide. I don't have a ruler with me. Otherwise, I'd give you some exact dimensions, but it doesn't matter. I just had a chunk of wood back there and a pencil. And I just kind of did a quick drawing on it. And this is what came up. I want to start working the edge of this hat a little bit on the underside because it's going to allow me a little more room to get in there with my tools to work on the face.
Hey, Dave,
Yes.
it's Doug from California.
Hey, Doug.
Hey, when you're starting a carving like that, do you have a certain sequence? Like, I noticed you started like the brim, under the brim of the hat. Would you always do that if it, say, it had a hat? Or in particular, I'm curious about carving a face. It's like you,
Well, the face is what I want to get to. So
Yeah.
I'm only carving enough of the hat to allow me to get to the face. And that's what I'm working on right now. Beyond that, a sequence, no. Maybe I do. It's not something I've thought about a whole lot. Unless I was doing a book or an article or for a magazine or something, and you have to kind of get an orderly progression. But if I'm just sitting here carving, I'll be working on something like this right now. I just took a look at it and said, okay, I need to get this hat down a little bit here. So I'll work it down a little bit. And then I'll hold it away from myself and take a look at it. Say, okay, yeah, that helped there. Okay, now what do I need to do now? Well, I need to get those chips out of there, maybe clean this up a little bit in here. If something doesn't look right. something that looks like it doesn't belong with the rest of the carving for where I'm at. Now, all of this hair that's flying out from the head here, that hair movement was inspired by the witch that was flying. I'm only doing the head. I want to get, and this is the first one that I've done like this. Only because I screwed up the one that was in the round. And then quickly panicked. So I've got a big jut here, so I want to get some of this back so it transitions a little smoother to the hat. And I don't want the hair to be more dominant than the face, which if I left it all there sticking out like that, it would be, maybe. Same over here. I don't want it sticking out that much. I'm going to take about half of that back. I'm going to do it all over again. Let's see, got a smaller V here. There we go. Okay, so now I'm coming back. Here's my eye line through here. My nose, not the tip of this nose, but if it was just a normal nose, halfway between the eye and the chin is where the nose would be. Okay, so forget about the fact that I've got a big old long honker that's hanging down to the lip. Okay, because the mouth would be here, halfway between the nose and the chin. But this is all going to be nose on top of that. So what I'm looking for right now is the cheekbone. So halfway between what would normally be the nose and the eye is a cheekbone. So if I know where that is, that lets me start to lay out everything else. So I can set the width of my nose. I can think in terms of an eyeball that comes down to the cheekbone, the eye socket, but there's an eyeball in that socket. So I can think in terms of a big old circle up here that comes down to the cheekbone. And the eye line is just about split through the middle of that. So, whoops, I'm sorry. I was drifting off toward the door here. She's leaving on. So that's going to be where my eyes are going to be. So now I can start shaping this nose a little bit and leave wood for the eye. Eyes are positive. And why wood carvers start out with a hole? They carve a socket. And if you're one of those, I don't want to know you. an eyeball has to sit in the socket. So if you start off by creating a hole in your head for an eye, it's pretty hard to carve a positive eyeball in the hole. Because the first thing you're doing is cutting that eye out of there. I'm going to sweep up along the side of the nose here with my blade. I'll get from where the tip of the nose would be. So if there was normally a nose here, it would be right there. But this one, the nose is hanging down, dropping down there. So what I want to do is start the break of the nose right where the tip would normally be. So that'd be a normal nose if I cut it off right there, but I'm dropping it down, so it's going to hang below. And so I'm going to start with a big old angle at the bottom of this nose right here. And I can still get back up under the nose. And I can take my gouge. This is the part that you were asking about, Dave, where I'm starting to wrap this now. Okay, now I've got where the bottom of my eye is, that's my cheekbone, okay? And the cheekbone, if I'm just, let's just kind of, there's the eye line, there's the oval, there's the eye line, there's the nose, there's the mouth, or the bottom of the lower lip. So the mouth sits here. So the cheekbone was here. And so from the eye line right here, the skull is going to come in like this. And then the cheekbone, here's the break of the nose. And the end of the nose is going to be hanging down here. So coming from the zygomatic arch, which is bone structure, comes in here like this, and then that's where the teeth, the mandible, attaches right in here. And then the jawline comes down from there, and then the chin, and we dropped it down a little longer, so the chin's going to sit down here. So these are the things I'm looking for. This was the eye socket and eyeball, just like you do on a skull. And then all of this from up above the brow, this is the brow here, and the brow bone, everything above this is where the hat comes right to the brow here, generally speaking, on hats. And the hat can be centered, even, it can be off to the side, any way you want to do a hat. But there's your hat line, and then the hair is going to be coming down from there. And you don't have to know how to draw to do this. You just have to know what the bone structure and everything looks like. Otherwise, I'd just be doing, see, what I do is caricature. Caricature, by definition, is an exaggeration of reality. Okay. There's a big gray area that caricature falls in, with reality on one extreme and cartoon on the other extreme. So I'm trying to do something that's in between reality and cartoon. And that's what they call caricature. So if it doesn't have realistic elements and it's just cartoon, it's cartoon, and that's fine. That's nothing wrong with that. But it's not what I'm trying to do. So the mouth is going to sit right there where the nose was coming down. All right, so that's how all of this relates to this. And if you get it right, it's can be a wonderful thing. And if it's not, you go back and analyze what you've done, and you can figure out pretty quick what you didn't do that you should have done or could have done, that will change the entire outlook. All right. So now we need to start thinking about rounding over the chin a little bit. When I do eyes, I used to do eyes a different way, and I'm always looking for a shortcut. And this is the way I do them now. I'll start with the inside corner of the eye, which is right where the circle and the line meet, right here. And I'll drive my knife in, and I'll consider the circle. So my knife, that's the direction that the blade is going when I make that stab cut. And the distance I go in is equal to the width of the nose up here. So whatever this width is right here, that's how deep I want to go. That's just a general rule of thumb. And it's generally the width of a thumb. Oh, isn't that nice? Yes. It's very nice. Make it in over here, drive it in. Set that corner. And now I don't have to worry about anything but the eyeball, because I've already determined where it goes. So that's starting to create my depth at the side of the nose. I can still go a whole lot deeper than this, but it's a start. Now I'll start thinking about the ball itself, the eyeball. And if I've got a knife in my hand, that's generally what I'll carve it with. I mean, if you feel better with using a Vayner or a V-tool to do this, it's your choice. Doesn't matter what tool you use, as long as it removes the wood for you. Really no right or wrong. Where are we at on time, Dave?
We are 40 minutes in, so we're good. We got a bit.
We didn't talk about how long we were going to do this. If I got 3 hours?
Sure, as long as you want, man.
I don't have 3 hours. I just said that to see if I could get a rise out of Michelle, but I think she's napping.
No.
Oh, no, she's not napping.
Right.
She's listening to every word I say. Make sure I don't screw up.
Somebody's got to, right?
Well, it's the way it's always been. You don't want that to change.
No, you don't.
Any of you that have a woman that
Yeah.
helps you
Hey.
So anyway, just give you guys a couple announcements here while Dave takes a little intermission. So um, we've got upcoming classes on the Wood Carving Academy. And remember, when you're signing up for the Wood Carving Academy classes, contact the teacher, and the teacher will give you more information about the class and all of that with it. But coming up, as Dave is giving us a little demonstration right now on a witch, we're going to have Dave's Flying Witch class. That's going to be October 5th, 6th, 12th, 13th, 19th, and 20th. Then Dwayne Gosnell is going to have Jim, a trippy hippie from the past. If you've not looked at D. Gosnell's D. Gosnell wood carving website and seen the hippie from the past that he's going to do, that's a cool little figure. That starts October 1st and 15th, and that's a Tuesday evening class. It starts at 6 p.m. on both those evenings at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Then Janet Cordell is going to be doing a doll carving class, Hitty or a tuck comb doll. I don't know what a tuck comb doll is or Hitty, but Janet Cordell is going to be teaching that November 4th, 8th, 11th, 15th, 18th, and 22nd. Then Dale Green is going to be doing a Kringle class, so just in time for the holiday season and another Santa Claus stuff to do, which I got to see the Kringle that he was going to do when I was out in Colorado. Pretty cool looking Kringle. Good class to be a part of. That's going to be November 2nd, 3rd, 9th, and 10th. And then so we can make sure we all get our Santa fills on everything, Dwayne is going to be doing a Babushka Santa, and that's going to be November 12th and 26th. And you can sign up for those things on Dwayne's website. So let me see where we are here. Let me see something real quick. And Dave, are you ready for me to switch back to you?
Yep, let her go.
All right, buddy. I'm going to switch back to you, and we'll do some more announcements later if we need to.
Thanks, Dave.
Not a problem.
Thank you all. Let's see here. Yeah, I've got so I got my mounds for my eyes here. I've got my I'm getting started on my nose.
You're drifting a little bit up again, Dave. You might want to center back down.
What's that?
You might want to center down a little bit. You're drifting back up to your the side of the screen.
Ah, I see it. Got it. Thank you. All right. Yeah, I need a director to keep me in line here. Let's just set these nostrils. And the nostrils are going to be based on where the end of the nose would have been had it not been hanging way down here. So I've got to get, I'm just going to set those. Typically, I wouldn't be as hard on a female face, but witches are kind of an exception to what we would typically do on a female. We can get away with things. So it's actually a good, if you're wanting to learn how to do female faces, a witch is a good place to start. Because you can get away with things that you wouldn't otherwise be able to. All right, so now I've got those nasolabial folds started. And the expression is irrelevant at this point. I'm just going to come up here and set the nostril. Just using the tip of my knife to set that in there. when that nose starts to pop. We look at the profile. Get this nasolabial fold pushed back in a little bit. If we want to do think in terms of the expression, for the gals that I do on the brooms, a lot of them have a worried look because they're about to fall off. And they don't, if they're up in the air flying around with a broom, if they fall off, they don't fly unless they have their broom. Their broom is their means of locomotion up there. So you can understand it's not something they take lightly. They really can get hurt falling from a broom. The
I
other,
got a question.
sure.
This is Tom.
Yeah, Tom.
That when you were up there and set the spacing between the eyes, do you do a witch just like you would do a female face where they're narrower than they would on a male face?
It depends on how yeah. Because that's a basic part of female anatomy, that it's a little tighter up. Well, no, it's not. It's a little wider up there. But when you're trying to make an attractive female, knowing what goes into that really helps when you're trying to make a witch, because you want her to look like that is, if you want her to make it look like she's a female witch. I suppose there's male witches. They call them warlocks or something. I mean, I don't know, to be honest with you, for sure. I did meet a witch one time.
What?
And I was really nervous. I mean, they did rituals with owl carcasses and stuff. I mean, they found a dead owl, so they were using that for some of their incantations or what have you. And they were renting an apartment from a friend of ours. They're in their compound, their home in California, so in Los Osos. And it was kind of weird, but I was the only one that was nervous around them. But they didn't look like this. They just looked like regular people to me. And maybe they were, but they professed to be witches.
My daughter's reading The Crucible right now, and so she's been sharing with me the different witches that were in that.
Ah. Well, see, that's where I'd have a problem, because I'm not an avid reader.
Neither am I.
I mean, I read articles and stuff. No, I read about stuff, but to sit down and read a book is not something I enjoy doing, because I just have a hard time sitting that long. Unless it's a good baseball game. So I'm just trying to create these forms under here, okay? So you got the form of the cheeks, the form of the nose, of course, on top, and the cheeks, and that's all established by where the cheekbone is. And then the chin, which is going to be protruding. And so I try to carve what's on top first and then work my way back in. So the last thing I'm going to get to here is going to be the mouth. And if I want it to smile, what I can do is just pull up where the corner of the mouth would be. So the muscles at the corner of the mouth are attached to the cheekbone, so they're going to pull up like here. And the line of the mouth is going to be real close to that nose. And we'll just let her smile on both sides of the mouth here. So we'll pull this side up a little bit. And right in here, where the corner of the mouth is, I'm going to pull that nasolabial fold up. And I can just set that right in here with a gouge like this. And over here on this side, same thing. Just set it in with a gouge. Going to change that line. So that pulls that up. Set the corner of the mouth by stabbing the tip of our knife in. Now the corner of the mouth doesn't touch that line because all the muscles that are pulling that corner of that mouth up are attached right there. So that leaves a little nub of flesh at the corner, right behind the corner of the mouth. So anytime you have that mouth and nasolabial fold or smile line, they don't touch. And there may be exceptions to that, but I haven't found them yet. I used to tell people the same thing about from the corner of the eye to the corner of the mouth. It's always a smooth surface there. There's never a crease or a line right in there. And I was telling that to a class one time, and I looked up, and one of the guys in class had a big old crease that went from the corner of his eye right down to the corner of his nose. And so I thought, well, there goes that theory out the window. But he's the only guy I ever found like that. But it only takes one. Right now, if you want to do a wart on this nose, just pick a spot where you think you'd like to put it. And then we just come around that wart with the tip of our knife, slide our knife and roll it away. And the same technique is what I use. A lot of times when I would carve witches, if Michelle would paint some of them for me, I'd always have them like they were braless. So I would have their nipples poking out through their dresses, and Michelle would always carve them off. But you can do nipples the same way. Just keep going around it and sweep your knife, let it roll away. Now that right there is going to be price of admission for half of you guys. Warts and nipples, you carve them the same way. You can edit that out, Dave.
Oh, I don't know about that.
And we'll put one right down here on her chin. But I'm going to put it on the opposite side so she doesn't look unbalanced.
And Dave, when you finish carving that up, can we get a little close look at that when you're finished?
Sure, you betcha. We had there was a class once upon a time up in Mancos, Colorado. That's when my friend Chris Hammock lived up there. And Chris invited me to come up and teach a class with he and Harold Enlow. So the three of us were at this dude ranch, just up in the mountains above Memphis a little bit. And Harold was doing a cowboy with Ray Upson Ray's from Albuquerque. And they decided to put a wart on the cowboy. And this dude ranch had a like a petting zoo type of thing. And the animals they weren't kept in the zoo, in the pens very well. So there was this big old potbelly pig that would come out and roam around. And boy, it was an ugly looking thing. But it had these real wiry hairs on its back. And so we tried to convince Harold that he should put he should use the scissors on his Swiss Army knife to clip a hair on that pig and insert it in the wart on that cowboy. And Harold was a little bit afraid of that pig. Everybody was afraid of that pig, but he got over there pretty close to it, got out his Swiss Army knife scissors and reached down and touched that pig, and that pig turned and snorted at him. And Harold jumped about 2 feet in the air and ran through the woods to hide behind a pine tree. And we laughed till our sides hurt. But then they found out that if they took a stick and rubbed that pig, he really liked that. It was like a massage thing for him. So a couple of guys started massaging that pig with a stick, and somebody else got the nerve up to go around and clip a hair out of that pig. So that was the hairy wart on a cowboy. That was many years ago, but the story's still a good one. I also had a couple of 80-year-old guys in that class. One of them was always talking, real braggadocious guy. And there was this old kind of mild-mannered guy in my class who decided he'd had enough listening to that other guy. We had two 80-year-old guys who were ready to lock horns and go at it. I'd never seen that in a carving class before or since. The things you think of when you carve a wart. All right, so we got a couple of warts on this gal. Let's do an eye. Get that out of the way. And you can put blue makeup, blue eyeshadow on her eyelids if you want. Depending on how old you want her to look, would depend on whether you put bags under her eyes or not. It's just a matter of setting the edge of an eyelid, then finishing the rest of the eyeball underneath it. And if you want to have a bag under the eye, that just comes right down here. or the outside half of the eye. Fresh point on the pencil lead.
Somebody's looking for a close-up, Dave.
Coming right up. Oops. Is it focusing?
Pull back just a hair. There you go, right there.
Too close? I thought
Now you can see the wart and the
it would zoom in better than that, but hey guys, thanks for putting up with it. Anybody's interested in the which class? Shameless promotion. This is the one we're going to be working on. And that starts around October 4th or 5th. I'm not sure, but if you shoot me an email, I'll send you all the particulars about how to get signed up for it.
perfect. Just a second, let me switch over here. And Dave, thank you very much, man. I know this was kind of spur of the moment and kind of you had to turn around and do something completely different than you thought you're going to do. And that's awesome because just seeing your talent is just amazing, man. The North Alabama Carving Association, they're going to have their show November 1st and 2nd, and that's free admission. So if you're down that way, guys, go ahead and get to that North Alabama Carving Association show. Then the Smoky Mountain Wood Carving Show will be coming up on October 5th and 6th, so just a couple Saturdays away. And then we have our upcoming the Barn Carvers. The Barn Carving Group is going to have a couple of people down with them on October 12th and 13th, which Rich Weatherby's class is full, but if you would like to be on a waiting list, you can contact Jerry Clark and kind of get put on that waiting list. Then we have November 2nd and 3rd down at the Barn Carving. Kevin Applegate will be there, and he has 5 openings up for that class. So if you'd like a spot, again, DM Jerry Clark. And then for the last one, Blake, our own very own Blake Lunsford, is going to be doing a class on December 7th and 8th. And there are 5 openings left of that. So again, if you want to be a part of that, go ahead and give Jerry a message and let him know that you want to be a part of that. Our upcoming presenters. On October 5th, we will have Ashton Brown with Badger State Blades. She's going to come on and give a presentation for us there. On October 12th, we will have David Young. Then on October 19th, Rich Embling from overseas, good old Rich, is going to be coming back on, and he's going to do a demo for us. And then I was talking to somebody earlier about October 26th, so I'm hoping to hear back from them really soon. We will get all those new people out to you guys. We're also trying to fill up all of our spots from now until Christmas time. We will take a Thanksgiving break. Then we'll take a break after Christmas for a couple weeks. But we're trying to get those times filled up. So if you're interested or know someone that you would like us to contact to see if they would be interested in presenting and doing a demo, that would be great. Just let Blake or myself know, and that would be wonderful. Glad you guys could join us on this Saturday. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Saturday, and thank you for joining the International Association of Wood Carvers, and we'll see you next time. So, let's look that way. I'm going to do that.
It's almost as long to draw it as it is. I bet it put a big old wart on her chin too. Yeah.
Yeah, about a minute or so, and we'll let people in.
Okay.
So I'm gonna take the spotlight off of you. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and let everybody in if that's okay with you, Dave.
Sure, you bet.
Okay. And we'll just go with the flow.
Yep.
Who's doing all the talking there, Blake? Mr. Lunsford? Mr.
Somebody thinks
Mr.
we want to
Lunsford's
hear
not
their-
here. I found the ball game and muted it for us.
Good, thanks.
I'm sure you don't want to hear any more about him, Bob.
I didn't know what
Not on yet.
I couldn't hear what it was, but I could